The galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of man. This is the Age of Darkness. Welcome to the Remembrancers Retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat, a Warhammer 30k Horus Heresy and Specialist Games podcast. My name is Jesse. I'm here today with Austin, Steven, and Jared, who hasn't been here in a long time. Hello, Jared.
What's up? How's it going, guys?
Hey. Yeah. Enjoy this last free episode before we go behind the Warhammer Plus paywall.
Yeah, we're gonna get a C&D letter now.
That was a very abrupt segue.
$10.99 a month, $15.99
Yeah.
Straight into the
premium access.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about it. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe in hindsight it was kind of foolish to think that all that stuff that we used to watch free on YouTube would be still free to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, but I will say, one, I agree. And it makes me a little sad that they didn't go to the, hey, you want to watch every episode of, God, what's the Blood Angel one?
Angels of Death.
Angels of Death. It's like, $5, $10. There's the whole season of Angel of Death when it comes out. Like, go crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, subscription paywall.
Yeah.
Hey, look on the bright side is for now those of us who are, super into collecting, who spend, $150 every time they release a new collector's edition omnibus. Just wait. We're going to get Iron Within, Angels of Death. They're all going to have fancy metal DVD cases.
I will say I am, again, sad it's a monthly subscription because the whole point of Netflix was to do that once.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
But I did note that there were like special things or like offers or something for subscribers.
Yeah.
Which is potentially the only way to get nerds to do it. And if you're from GW Corporate, please fast forward 30 seconds. Would be to say, hey, new Siege of Terra maps coming out? We're going to let you guys pre-order 3 days early.
Oh, Lord.
Mm-hmm. Or, data cards for characters in the shows to play on the table.
Oh, dear God.
That's more the thing I expect to see.
Stop it, all of you.
They need to
Don't do that to me.
If they do Warhammer Plus, a subscription service, they need to wrap in like the Warhammer app subscription into it as well.
Give me back all those Duncan painting videos.
You mean all the ones you can watch free on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, for now.
Now you can watch them in high def.
Ooh. See every little hair on Duncan's brush.
I'm glad you said brush.
I thought that was going in a whole different direction.
True. Bamboozled again.
We're a family show. Damn.
But, sort of.
Fuck.
You said...
I was waiting for something.
But yeah, I'm hoping that the value versus price is decent. And right now, it's hard to say how much it is. We don't know what it is. The fact that it's its own separate thing kind of sucks. It does suck.
It does. Unless it's like
it's how many
$10
is
a
a
year.
We've got a month to see or to wait and see what exactly else comes with it.
Well, I mean, we know there's, 4 different series coming with it? Angel of Death, Iron Within.
Lot more. They've got
all the animation.
They've got like a half dozen different things.
However many different things that is.
4, 8, 9, 10. They got at least 11. They got at least 11 there.
Wow. You sad there's no Imperial Fist show?
No, because they wouldn't do them justice. I mean, maybe if Dan Abnett wrote it.
Huh, yeah, I wonder if any of the Black Library guys are involved in just getting tapped for scripts.
We know Dan is. In some capacity. He talking about it on that interview you gave.
Oh, did he?
Well,
Yeah.
Dan
He said,
Dan Abnett is dead to me and has been for a month now. So.
because he agrees with me on a lot of stuff. That's, key to the
Chaos
Warhammer
gods are
universe.
garbage.
The Chaos gods aren't gods.
Of course, he does have terrible taste in Legion, so you can't really trust anything. he says.
Rogadorn's the best
He
Primarch.
keeps killing the best ghosts. Like,
No spoilers. May they live forever in our hearts and minds.
no spoilers, but if you like a ghost, they're probably dead by now.
It's already too late.
Yep.
No, my concern is like Hammer and it was supposed to be out a year and a half ago. Like,
well, like you said, or like we
Angels
said before,
of Death has
pandemic.
nothing. But Angels of Death being late has nothing to do with the pandemic, because if you remember, that was teased in Nova 29, like it should have been out.
18.
Like, it was teased in 18
Yeah.
to be out in 19.
Jeez, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while.
So like, yeah, sure. It didn't make it by February 2020. It wasn't making it. But then a lot of these other ones are like the Astartes one, right? That's like an awesome.
Astartes 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long was Astartes 1 though?
How long?
Collectively?
Yeah. Collectively.
Though each one is what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes. I
5
think.
minutes? I mean, sure. One guy doing that animation surely can't make a 10-minute animation. He'd die.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? You've hired on, which is great. Like, right? It's awesome that they've hired on these like amateur dudes to
Got a
do it.
company to support him now.
Yeah.
He does, but not all of them.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's one thing to have a company to support you, but GW doesn't know damn about making a production.
Yeah, just look at that first Ultramarine movie they made.
But they've got cash to hire people who do.
I mean, that's fair, but like, I am
Just
a
Matt
little
Ward sitting there
I mean,
dictating what should happen in each series.
Hopefully the production is good. They released, it was like,
I don't know. It's sort of like going to, I don't know, 20th Century Fox and being like, hey, make a war game with all the miniatures. And the people you have to design rules? Steven.
It's just Tucker Carlson.
Yeah,
writing
Steven is going to
rules.
write 11 different rules for you. And it took him 2 or 3 years, but now he's got 6 months. Go.
Yeah.
yeah.
It might be delayed a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see if their paid subscription can actually be.
I'm a little nervous because one of their sneak peeks for this stuff, which I didn't watch the Twitch show, but from what I see on the article, they didn't really show much. It was just a whole bunch of little teaser. One of the videos was 5 minutes of going to each one of the new shows and having like a 10-second audio blurb.
Mm-hmm.
And it really felt awkward and clunky.
Because they're not a professional animation studio.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Reading the couple of sentences here that they have for each one is just I'm excited for it.
No,
Especially Iron Within.
they're all cool. They all look amazing. The question is like, and that's why I thought they were going to just charge by like maybe the season of a show.
right.
Yeah.
Because you may not necessarily be a Eldar fan to watch Exodite.
Well, but even then, like, all right, all of these guys that they've hired are like did really cool, awesome, free stuff, like in their free time as a hobby over a period of many years. Mm-hmm. And that's very different than saying, instead of, oh, you did 40 minutes over the course of 2 years, to say, you have 6 months, you must deliver 16, like 25-minute episodes. Some of those guys may straight up be like, this isn't fun. I'm not doing it. Like,
I kind of wonder if
it's like if somebody actually paid me to do this. Like,
yeah. Or Battlefleet Heresy, hey, do the entire Battlefleet Heresy book in 6 months. What? It took us 3 years to make the first one.
yeah, right? Like,
Oh, it sounds like your problem.
we'll still play test for you, GW. Do that for free, gratis.
Yep, you're welcome.
Bring it back. That's all we want.
Yep. Yeah. A quick note here. You'll probably hear us make notes to things that you can't see. Jesse, now that we're back, quote unquote, in studio.
Yeah, we are on the Vengeful Spirit now at Chateau de Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse has this whole room set up, and he's got a mounted TV with his iPad like broadcasting to it. So we're all just sitting around the table, but looking at the mounted TV for all of our information. It's really cool. Yeah, we're having a grand old time.
It's true. I've got a glass of port, and the wall is telling me things, and it's great.
It's 1980. It's not 1984. Fuck. What's the one where they have the
Fahrenheit.
451. Yeah, where they have the
We
walls.
tried to go highbrow, ladies and gentlemen.
Fahrenheit 1984, guys.
Yeah,
We read
Fahrenheit 1984, where the books are illegal for something. I don't know.
Reasons.
I'm just glad that I now have a room where I can put my computer, my podcast, and my TV all in the same
And
place.
both your 3D printers and your friggin'
Not just the one
airbrush
setup.
station.
One's a cleaner. One's a...
Oh, it's a cleaner. Yeah, with his giant cases to showcase all of his beautiful
His
models.
millions of tiny meltabots. Dark Angel stuff all over the walls.
It's a good time. Yeah. Only for patrons. We'll show you the behind the scenes. We'll take pictures of Jesse
I didn't say anything about that.
puttering around his studio. If he looks surprised, it's because he is.
He didn't expect it to happen.
It's actually going to be its OnlyFans for now.
Oh, we're doing that now. Okay.
Just Jesse, though.
All right.
Just Jesse.
Just, yeah. It's just pictures of him just staring at cables, trying to figure out what goes into what. Yep, behind the scenes. Interact with your fans and make money, or don't. But we're not going to complain about Warhammer Plus for the entire episode.
No, because again, we don't know.
Yeah, because
we don't know.
Again, we don't know.
I mean, they could say that, hey, this is like whatever the price of like your yearly Warhammer like the yearly White Dwarf subscription, we're going to throw $10 on top of that, and you get access to Warhammer Plus.
Shoot, I'd get
All right.
Dwarf and Warhammer Plus.
Like, I don't have either of those things, but I buy because I only buy like maybe half the White Dwarfs that come out.
Hell, I'll cancel Hulu to get that. I bet Warhammer Plus won't have commercials.
I mean,
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
isn't Warhammer Plus technically all commercials?
Oh no!
As meta as possible.
Yeah, it's now I can't watch TV with my girlfriend while I paint though, because she's not going to want to watch. What's that?
Interrogator?
Hammer and Bolter, Interrogator.
She'll watch Interrogator.
Angels
That looks
of Death.
good as shit.
Yeah.
Was there any Necromunda stuff on there? No.
I don't think so.
One of those had a
Broken Lance. No, that looks ooh.
High Lords looks cool.
What?
Though, I'll tell you
God.
what. Yeah, like Interrogator is going to be Necromunda-y.
Hive.
He's
Imperial
in a
Hive.
Hive City.
Hive
He's
City.
doing inquisitive things.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'm excited for it all over again. Until I see the price point.
We'll all pitch in for a subscription, and then we just come to my place.
There you go.
It won't be any cheaper than the amount of money that it won't be any more expensive than the amount of money I spend monthly on Titanicus models anyway.
Yeah, but then you'll have fewer Titanicus models.
That's what you think.
Yeah, exactly. It's
It'll
a
be
cost.
It'll be a Citadel brush a month.
Don't like that.
$40?
A can of Chaos Black a month.
Oh god, no one can afford that
Yeah.
Yeah,
in this economy.
Chaos Black in this economy?
yeah, like you're not supposed to throw out your rattle cans. I know some of you monsters do. So I tend to keep them until I've got like a trash bag full and just take all of those to the dump separately. And I realized recently that I've got like 8 spent cans just from like 2020, minimum 8 spent cans of like Grey Seer and Wraithbone. And that's like $22 a guy. Like I was doing the math. I'm like, Jesus fuck.
That's a
Car payment.
It's a car payment in paint.
Yeah, it real is.
That's it. Going back to priming.
I mean, granted, I've like, it all got, none of it got thrown away, right? It all got used and I painted a shit ton, but also you forget it. You forget about that, right? Because you never think about when you go and buy spray paint that it's like a cost.
Yeah, like a $20 can.
Yeah, it's like when you buy a new paint, like, yeah, but I'm using this forever. But with spray paint, you use it for like 50 models.
Yeah, I
for
think
a week
maybe
or whatever.
Yeah, I think maybe in the entire time I've been in the hobby, I've bought 3 bottles of Ironbreaker, and Ironbreaker's my most used paint.
Yeah.
So that's something.
I've bought like 6 things of Nuln Oil. Easy.
That's
the big ones.
That's because we keep spilling them.
Yeah.
I do spill at least a third. It's true.
I think I brought 30 pots of Lamenters over.
When I was at one of the stores in Washington, I saw a paint rack that had 6 pots of Lamenter's Yellow on it. I was like, they should. I don't know, probably like
Probably the cost.
2 or 3. Yeah, probably $2 or $3 a pot.
MSRP.
Whatever it was at
Yeah.
the time. It was wild. I was like, man, they could be selling this for $20 a pop, and people would still buy it.
Yeah.
But speaking of Titanicus, it's back. It's time to get back to the actual things that matter.
To the things we wanted to talk about.
Not just complaining about cool shows and paying too much for them.
Back in my day,
Back in my day,
we didn't have any shows.
We had 3 channels.
And our
and
global campaigns were letters written into GW.
You had 3 channels, and if the president was on, your night was shot. He's on every channel. Anyway.
No escape.
You had to go to Channel 3 to play Super Nintendo.
You can't escape Nixon when he wants to talk at you.
Even now, when he's dead, he's still on
I was
Futurama.
about to say, every time you go to Comedy Central, it's just another episode of Nixon on Futurama.
Yep.
I mean, there could be way worse things.
The Nixon Power Hour. But no, we're going to talk about
Speaking of
Titans.
power, we're going to talk about Titan.
Yeah.
Damn.
Down your crack pipes and your beer bongs.
Because there is no greater power than that of a god machine. But there are some god machines that are not less powerful, but less effective than others. And that's god machines that have giant fists and chainsaws.
For some reason, when you have lasers that are main gun weaponry on ships, running up and punching somebody, not as good.
Yeah. Turns out in a shooting meta, trying to fight people in face-to-face man fighting, It was a little more difficult. But don't worry, because we here at the Remembrance Retreat have spent many an hour dying horribly on the line to bring you this, the Melee Legio episode.
Guys, I want to apologize in advance to our listeners for all the coward talk you just heard. These are weak souls, and I just want to apologize.
How'd your last charge work out? You kill that warhound that you charged the back of?
Let's not discuss it. The gifts of the dark gods are fickle, and sometimes you roll 4 1s.
Sounds like you need a 5-point upgrade called Dark Blessing. Take a real legion for a spin.
Whew.
Murder lords, sir.
It's gonna be hot today, folks.
Yep. And not just because we play Infernus. Ever since Forge World released the Build Your Own Warlord function, which might not actually be around anymore. They may have
For
discontinued
the 28
that.
millimeter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. There have been people who were jokingly said, I'm going to buy a Warlord Titan with 2 power claws. All right, more power to you. But in Titanicus, you can run a Warlord Titan with 2 power claws, and it's awesome.
Well,
It looks cool.
It certainly has style.
Awesome.
It has style. That's
Nuts here,
right.
guys.
George Pickett yelling from the sidelines, that's the style. Unfortunately, like we said,
Just like
Titanicus.
Low Amistad, he'll get shot in the chest before he can stab anybody.
Go about as well as...
yeah, just about as well as...
Civil War jokes here, guys.
Yes, for those of you across the pond or at the far side of the world.
Yes. Yeah, so you've probably learned that, melee titans are kind of in a weird place, and a melee legion is in an even weirder place in that it's super fluffy, looks super cool, but doesn't often win you the day. But that's okay. We're going to teach you a thing or two. Hard-won knowledge from the front. Someone help me out here.
Okay. What you need?
So we're going to start with why would you want to play a melee legion? Other than the fact that it looks really cool. Why do you play with so many close combat weapons, Jared?
Because I don't care about the lives of my Titan command.
That's a good reason.
We're here to die. It's fine. It's all good.
Dark.
3 centuries to build the damn thing.
And
a monument to his god. And he casually tosses them away.
That's just it. Throw that Reaver right over there. It's fine. It is a lot of fun to play. Titanicus is kind of like a lot of the other specialist games, a game of maneuver. And you get to really sit there, and it feels like there's a whole other level of strategy involved when almost all of your damage dealing is done at close range. It's just be happy that Warhounds don't have melee weapons.
Yet. My God. I'm going to get that Bident one day.
One day. There are few things quite as amusing as deploying against your opponent and him looking at your list like, why do you have 5 Reavers with Power Fists?
I will say, it is very concerning. Listeners, I don't have a single Titan melee weapon painted up. I don't believe in them. But Steven sure as hell does. And Jared would if he played more games.
You take a 2-year break from a game, and people say you don't play it anymore.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. These guys.
But it's true.
I like I bought the original Grandmaster Edition. My Warlord has 2 Bellicosa cannons, and by God, it's going to keep 2 Bellicosa cannons.
And Apocalypse missiles.
Yeah.
But yes, I have been on the receiving end of Jared a couple of times, Steven all the damn time, Dave a lot, of all of these punchy lists. And it is a little concerning. Like, even though I don't think I've lost a game to a 5 close combat weapon Reaver list,
There were a few moments where you thought you might, though.
it's real dicey.
Yeah.
So, serious talk for me, the unpredictability of Titanicus. You know, you go in with a battle plan, and you're, even one turn ahead, you're like, all right, this is definitely going to happen. My guys are just going to get railed here for a second. This is probably going to go down. And, I had one game last Nova 2019 where I was like, all right, I'm going to lose by points. I know this is going down. And, my Reaver with a chain fist rolled on the Awakened Machine Spirit and did a charge that it shouldn't have been able to do and killed a Warlord in a single round of combat. And, it was good times. And it was not supposed to happen by any mathematical.
Well, and that's the craziness of like the close combat Titans is nothing else in the game will take an enemy from full health to dead in one shot. Yeah. It just not statistically shouldn't. It can't happen.
Yeah.
Because even a Bellicosa, the best you're going to do is hit twice and then do 2 criticals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just math that it can't possibly kill a thing. But when you get those close combat weapons going like on a charge or something,
6 chain fist to the body,
and like math says you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always go down that way.
That's why you have 2 Bellicosa cannons on your Warlord, Austin.
I mean, you're not wrong there, Jesse. That's how you do it.
That's certainly one way to do it.
But it is certainly like
effective way.
You can lose half your Titans going in a close combat list and still pull it out because once you get there, you're there.
Yeah, once you're there, you're stuck there. It's not like a 28 millimeter frontline game where you charge a big unit of World Eaters into an enemy unit, they get wiped, and then they just get shot to pieces.
Yeah, then you're back to being a shooting list. Yeah,
yeah. It's that Titan is there. He's still there. Oh God, he's still there. And then a Warlord explodes. It's great.
So how would you go about, like, if you're not building your own, because we're going to talk about that in a minute, but what legions you've thought about this most deeply, what legios would you take if you want to do a close combat-y thing?
So there's a couple of them that work pretty well with, well, I say work pretty well, relatively speaking, compared to others. Some of them are just built to get in there and punch stuff. And one of the early ones that they did was Legio Vulpa, the Death Stalkers. Primarily when you want to build a melee Legio, you're looking at Reavers, mostly, and to a lesser extent Warlords, because you can put the Ariok Power Claw on a Warlord. It's not, in my opinion, as good as the Reaver.
You're just too slow.
You just don't have the speed.
6-inch max.
But Legio Vulpa and Legio Lanascara are 2 of the best Trader Legios to do it with. And then Legio Tempestus is probably the best Loyalist Legio. Astorum, to a lesser extent, because they have the War March. They go real fast the first 2 turns.
An extra 4 inches, which...
But first 2 turns, that's a turn of movement.
Yeah. That's 8 extra inches over the course of 2 turns.
That's... No. It can go up to 2 extra inches per turn. For a grand total of 4 inches.
That's not as impressive.
Even so.
You take a Storm for the tankiness, which at the same time is not bad for melee.
Yeah, so when it comes to... Yeah, go ahead.
Not like we were playing the other day, where I had my non-melee Warhound that, for some reason, even with being shot at by, I think it was your Warhounds...
It was 2 Warhounds and a Warbringer.
And I got up in the melee range practically with that little Warhound because I just
weren't happy by the time you got there, but you got there.
I got there. It's being able to re-roll that emergency repair die.
So, primarily when you're building a melee Legio, you're focused on 3 things. Speed, because you have to actually get there in time. Durability, because you need to be alive when you get there, and then actual damage output. And there is no Legio that does all 3. There's no build that's going to get you all 3 of those in spades. You'll typically get 2 of them, if you're lucky or if you're smart. So Legio Vulpa is the Death Stalkers, and they fall in the speed and damage output category because they don't have a whole lot of survivability tools. But their Legio trait is Honor and Blood. The Death Stalker Titan, that is within 3 inches of an enemy Titan, increases its weapon skill by 1 and decreases its ballistic skill by 1. Now, you may be looking at that and thinking, well, why do I want to lose the ballistic skill? Because I still have guns. I'm not going to put 2 close combat weapons on your Titan. And the reason is because most close combat weapons have a range of 2 inches, which is under void shields. And when you're within, is it 3 or 2? That you switch to your weapon skill. Yep. So when you are within those 2 inches, even your guns are going off of your weapon skill. So you can, what we like to do when we do these sorts of things is we fire the guns and we let them ride. We just, wherever they go, that's where they go. Body, head, legs. You don't always want them to go on the weapons, but there's a good use for that. And then you follow up with free called shots with melee weapons and smash attacks to wherever the gun hit, and you just tear the enemy open. So Vulpa, like I said, damage output, they're a lot more accurate at close range than a lot of their contemporaries. No Pity for the Vanquished is one of their stratagems. For one, the stratagem may be purchased by any Vulpa player. Play this stratagem when an enemy Titan is destroyed, i.e. makes a roll on the catastrophic damage table.
This is, which book is this in?
This is Titan Death. We're on page 55. The Titan who inflicted the killing attack may immediately make another attack with the same weapon system against a fresh target within 12 inches of the destroyed Titan. So, if you run up on Warhounds, and it bears noting that when you're playing a close combat melee legio, there's an economy of force. You want to beat up smaller engines because they're going to give up victory points more easily than the bigger ones, and you retain map control a little better because now you don't have hounds running around shooting you in the back with plasma blast guns and worse.
Little shell shock in your eyes there, Stephen. those damn large blast plasmas.
Yeah. Oh, God. So you roll up on somebody. You've got that big honking chainsaw where your hand should be. You carve open some uppity warhound. You play Pity for the Vanquished, and look, there's another warhound right there. Carve him open too.
And there's a good chance that second warhound's already going to be damaged, because if one warhound blows up next to another warhound, it's going to be a bad time. Its war gear is plasma gargoyles. They're not that great. They just inflict hits whenever you vent plasma against stuff within... Not great hits.
But not great hits.
Too close because it's under voids.
Yeah. Well, it takes a strength hit. It's a strength 6 hit. And it's one strength 6 hit for every point that you vent.
Yeah.
But I feel like by the time that the damage control phase rolls around, people have moved around again. You're not within that venting range.
Yeah, unless you've caught somebody.
Yeah. And for 15 points, it's kind of pricey.
But I mean, it's also filling in the corners, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
You never get a perfect list, right? And I tend to be between 50 and 100 points off of whatever we're trying to play.
Yeah, if you got an extra 15 points to spend, it's not a bad take.
Yeah, I wouldn't like jiggle around like the weapons you're taking or the Titans you're taking to stick it in there. But odds are you're going to have at least one.
Yeah, but the new Loyalist Legio book introduces some universal war gear, which are stuff that's just as useful, if not better, than plasma gargoyles. But all in all, not a terrible take. It just doesn't really help you a whole bunch. And then Vulpa's specific war gear, Disruption Emitters, is where they really bring home the bacon. This is 30 points, so it's a lot. But it adds 2 to the strength of its weapons with the melee trait and counts as a scale 2 higher when making a smash attack. So you're basically paying 30 points to buy critical hits.
Yeah.
And, is that for all Titans?
That's any Titan can take it.
That's nice. That's
yeah. Just stick a little disruption emitter on your Warhound feet, and it hits like a Reaver.
Like you said, pricey, but
but
worth it if you're going for melee.
I mean,
like
it's a strength. You're
running a lot of
power fist.
Yeah, you're running a lot of Reavers. It's going to be on Reavers, and it's just nasty.
Yeah. Their personal traits, they have some good ones that kind of help them. This is where they get a little bit of survivability. Razor Tongue is my favorite one. It's at the start of the round. The Princeps can choose an enemy Titan within 24 inches of their own Titan and talk mad smack about that Princeps mama. Because for the duration of the round, the chosen Titan, his characteristic is reduced by 2 to a maximum of 10. So it's a lot harder to get off orders, like a first fire, against a Reaver who's right up in your business with the chain fist.
Yeah.
Bloodied but Unbroken kind of encourages you to take damage, or at least rewards you, gives you kind of a consolation for when you do. For each point of critical damage the Princeps Titan has suffered, not including critical damage inflicted on weapons, increase the strength of any weapons with the melee trait and their smash attacks by 1 to a maximum of 3, which you're already adding 2 to the strength of because you bought disruption emitters. So
Reavers are suddenly better than Bellicoses.
yeah, just bonk, strength 15 power fist. You're dead.
Yep.
And then Cruel.
Is that just for the Princeps Senioris?
It's just for the Princeps Senioris. But, if you do a little bit of shenanigans, then that Reaver's going to get where it wants to go.
Yeah.
We'll talk about stratagems for getting melee Legios in better positions later. But Bloodied but Unbroken is really good for a Titan that's going to be taking damage before it gets where it's going. And then Cruel is when making smash attacks against a unit of with a scale of 5 or lower, so Knights, increase the strength of weapons by 2.
Which is super important.
It's kind of situational. You don't generally want to be wading into a Knight banner to punch them, because being in combat with Knights is the absolute last place that any Titan wants to be, without exception. But increasing the strength of the hits that you're going to deal to them by 2, again, another 2 with disruption emitters, you're just punting Knights into the stratosphere.
If you can get... Because what you want to do with Knights is you want to hit them with strength 10 or better, because you want them to have no saves and you want to evaporate them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a punchy Legio and you're doing it, classic styles, everybody has a fist, you're not going to shoot all those Knights to death. So this is a nice way to handle it.
Mm-hmm. And any guns that you have are probably going to bounce off their shields anyway, or at least you're not going to hit them hard enough to really affect the shield.
Yeah, and you're going to be full striding and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Lanniskara is the other traitor Legio that has a real good chance of doing some good damage. They are more of the speed and a damage output triangle. That's kind of where they live. Does anyone have Crucible of Retribution on hand? Because I never.
I have it right here.
Oh, you did?
On my book.
Excellent.
Which one are we looking for?
Legio Lanniskara, Crucible of Retribution.
Common spelling.
Lanniskara, L-A-N...
Common spelling.
Oh.
L-A-N.
Yes.
And so on.
And so forth. These guys are the Impalers. They have a real cool, kind of Pacific Island-looking paint scheme. Their world is full of caustic seas. They hunt big, giant monsters under the ocean. Direct Measures is their Legio trait, which is once per round, a single Legio Lanniskara Titan can move using their boosted speed without needing to push their reactor.
Bring the mic over to the side so when you're looking, you can talk right in.
I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
New technology.
Yeah, it's we're all old on the inside, so some of this stuff is hard.
Shit, I'm old on the outside.
That's true. I see all that gray in your beard.
Aw.
So once per round, a Legio Lanniskara Titan can move using their boosted speed value without needing to push their reactor. And a lot of Reavers, particularly, need to balance their heat between speed for getting there where they need to go, and shields for keeping themselves alive for when they get there. Direct Measures makes Lanniskara just a little more efficient when it comes to that balance. A free 9-inch movement on a Reaver is nothing to sneeze at, because boy, those guys can move. Their second trait is Bullish, and this is one of my favorite ones. So whenever they make attacks as part of a charge order, a Legio Lanniskara Titan can make a smash attack in addition to any other attacks that it makes, which effectively translates to 2 attack rolls per charge order, which a lot of Legios, when they charge, they want to start piling on the damage. Lanniskara, if you can just delay the instant gratification just a tiny bit, you will see yourself safer, is what it does. Lanniskara can charge up, make a smash attack with either their melee weapon or just by existing, and break off a weapon. They immediately follow it up with the second smash attack and break off the other weapon. Suddenly that Reaver with the macro Gatling and the Melta-Cannon that you charged is just a big armless baby. It can't fight back. Sure, maybe it's got an Apocalypse missile launcher or a Mega Bolter, but you're a fully healthy Reaver. You don't care. Their specific stratagem is Heedless Charge. It's 1 point. This stratagem may be purchased by any Lanniskara player. Play the stratagem at the start of the strategy phase. For the remainder of the phase, any friendly Lanniskara Titan can be issued a charge order without the need to make a command check. It's so good.
Yeah, for one stratagem point.
For one stratagem point, because...
but hang on. For For remainder of the phase. Okay.
Yeah, so it's for multiple Titans
And
too.
any
Yeah.
Titan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's pretty sweet.
It's across the board. Any person who's ever, Dave will tell you, I will tell you, there are a few things more frustrating to play a melee list is when you fail your first charge order. You needed to get it off to actually kill your opponent, and now you've screwed everybody else in your mana pool.
Now everyone is going to die.
Yep. Really, sometimes all it can take is one failed charge order for your whole battle plan to just go straight into the toilet.
sure.
And I've seen it happen many times. Although I will say, going back to Bullish, you've given the safe option, right? Which is rip both their arms off and then wait for it. However, this does give you the other option, especially if you've got a long distance charge, if you're getting that max bonus.
Yeah.
And that is you come charging in, and the first thing you do is smash attack the enemy somewhere, and then you power fist him to death.
I do enjoy power fisting people to death.
Because, let's go back to Jared's lovely last game, just because it's funny. Right? He's got a punchy Reaver. He's found the backside of a Warhound. He charges the maximum distance.
Them sweet, sweet 3 extra attacks.
6 attacks in the charge. It was a chain fist, right?
And I use the Trader's one-time per game ability that gets
To
an
get
extra attack.
distance. Yeah,
It's 6 attacks.
6 attacks. 4 ones.
Straight to the body. Yep.
Straight to the body, 4 ones. It doesn't die. Legio Lanascara, you have that insurance policy, right?
Yeah.
Because that happens more than we would like to admit.
Oh, yeah.
That you get 5 attacks and you hit on 2s and you hit with 3 and you only did 2 crits in a direct. Guy's not dead. Guy's going to walk off. But being able to get 2...
More like limp off, but sure. He's not dead yet.
Yeah, backs up out of range
Yeah.
and just shoots you to pieces again.
Which is what happened.
Yeah. But not Lanascara. They just do 2 attacks and finish off.
It's a real bad time to be fighting the Impalers. Their specific war gear is a nice little 10-point bit. It's called Mordantized Ceramite, but what it does is it subtracts 1 from the strength of all armor rolls made by an attack by a weapon with the maximal fire trait, even if it doesn't use maximal fire. So really, that's just plasma weapons. It's the Sun Fury, it's the Blast Gun. I don't think it's really going to help you that much against a suzerain plasma destructor, but it's there. Congrats.
It's the thing that makes critical and devastating?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Which, you don't see a whole lot of Sun Furies, but you do see a ton of Plasma Blast Gun, the ubiquitous friend maker pattern Warhound. It's a mega bolter and a plasma gun. Everybody's got one.
Yep, because it's polite in 40K.
Yeah.
But they realize it's real good in Titanic.
Yeah.
Brutal.
And, hounds are almost consistently your biggest threat as a melee Legio, because they can just slip right behind you. You can't catch them. If you do, they're dead, but catching them is the hard part, and they almost always have plasma blast guns. So a nice little extra point of defense for 10 points, always take it. They have a couple of personal traits that, again, are more of the damage output sort of way. One is Cruel, which is lifted directly out of Vulpa. It's, again, making attacks against anything with strength 5 or lower, increase the strength of the hits by 2, punt knights, or step on them. Whatever you want. Just imagine a big, giant, Titan-sized fist flicking a knight, and that's what you've got. Titan Killer is probably the best one. Once per round, the Princeps may reroll all armor rolls of 1 for an attack made against an enemy Titan, which, again, going back to Jared's example, boy, did he snake eyes. He snake eyes so many times that he actually was a spider.
It's true.
That would have been real good.
Yeah.
That would have been real good.
Their rerolls are kind of hard to come by in Titanicus, and rerolls to armor rolls are even harder to find. Again, you're just making a super-powered Princeps Signoris. He's here to take skulls.
That's once per round, too.
Yeah, once per round. It's not a...
Once per game. It's
Ridiculously good.
And
every
it
time.
is all the armor rolls, so those
Yeah.
4 ones would not have been so.
Yeah, yeah.
You would have chainsawed that Warhound in half. And then the third one is Heedless Rage. Once per round, the Princeps may make an attack with a disabled weapon with the melee trait. Once the effect of the attacks has been resolved, Princeps Titan suffers a single strength 10 hit to the body. Less useful, or rather a little more niche, but a smart player will try and blow your melee weapon off before you get there.
Yeah, like that's what my hounds do. Is they take that mega bolter, and especially if like the plasma misses or something has gone awry, I'll just run up and shoot your arm off, because then you're not going to kill me.
You're just done. Or when you get into boxing matches with other melee titans, whoever goes first is always going to call shot to your fist.
At least one of those weapons is going to the fist.
So Lanaskara is a nice, I know I said speed and damage output, but they're actually closer to survivability and damage output on the triangle. So that's always fun. I'm going to let Jared talk about Interfector while I find Tempestus.
Okay, so Legio Interfractor, the Murdered Lords, are my first Legio. They're my chosen Legio. I've done by far the most games with them. Their whole kind of shtick is not necessarily survivability or killing powder. It's insanity. Basically, in the wake of Horus's betrayal, they went from the most loyal Legio to the most corrupt, and just kind of, their minds just sort of broke.
They're called the Murder Lords.
Yes. So, their Legio trait is
Just
pretty...
dipping real deep into that word bearer's trope, huh?
Shut up. So, they have, their Legio trait is Creeping Madness. So when a Titan is activated in the movement phase, they can roll on the Insanity table, which is basically a D3 table. It's a Dark Embrace. On a 1, you immediately make a charge. Number 2 is Weapon Overload. You gain the first fire order, and you shoot a weapon, add counting the weapon's strength as 2 higher and its dice as 1 higher than normal. So you got a really, really nasty weapon, if it's your volcano cannons or your bellicosas. I mean, that can really put some hurt on somebody. And the weapon's disabled afterwards. So you overloaded it and it just blows up on you. Or Static Scream, which takes away all orders within a 12-inch bubble of you, which can be nasty, but is the least, in my experience, the least preferable of those choices. It
certainly stops you from being countercharged, though, which is important.
It does. But speaking of taking away orders, there's Stratagem, Portents of Doom. It's 2 points, and you declare this during the strategy phase. Any enemy Titan within 12 inches of a Interfactor Titan may not be issued orders this round.
Yeah, it's deeply disrespectful.
It's super fun.
You need orders.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just die.
Yeah, I generally wait.
I did.
Wait until it was turn 3, turn 4. Things are getting spicy. Your guys have spent a little bit of time running up the field towards your enemy, and get this right at the crucial moments when they need. You're down to the wire, and your opponent needs to pull something off, be it a charge, be it first fire, be it whatever. Well, they can't now. It's just nasty. It takes away a whole section of the game from your opponent. They have a second one that's very situational. I've only used it once or twice. It is extremely useful if you end up using it. Tormented Machine Spirit. It's 1 point. Essentially, if you roll on the Awakened Machine Spirit table, you can use the stratagem instead of rolling on it, and you make 2 shooting attacks against the nearest enemy Titan, wherever that might be. So if your guy's right up on the enemy and he, awakens Machine Spirit trying to push the reactor, well, you're making some nasty shooting attacks instead of doing a charge or whatever you might have been doing. So it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just very situational. Their war gear is really good. They have for the Reaver or Warhound Titan, they can purchase static rounds for the Mega Bolters for 15 points. And these against a shielded enemy, an enemy that's still got voids, a 5 or a 6 will cause 2 hits. And that doesn't sound like much, but say you roll a bunch of 5s and 6s, all of a sudden you're piling on 10, 12 hits on your opponent. those shields will go away very quickly. Their personal traits for their princeps are pretty basic. Dark Fanatic. This one's pretty interesting in that the first time your princeps rolls on catastrophic damage on a roll of a d10 6, 7, 8, or 9, you ignore that damage. So you just don't get destroyed. I think I used that last game on one of their princeps. And it kept a minute for a turn, which was nice.
Yeah, it's kind of I can't really say it's a step above the main rulebook. The main rulebook one. Yeah, where you have to roll greater than the thing that happened to you. Yeah, so the main rulebook one, which everyone can get, is Will of Iron, which is the first time catastrophic damage roll is made for the Princeps Senioris, roll a d10. If it equals or beats the result of the catastrophic damage roll, it's ignored and has no effect. So, if you're silenced, congratulations, you're still in the fight. If you have a, core breach and light up like a fucking Christmas tree, your way is better.
Yeah. Number 2, they have Raving Madmen. This one, these next two I'm just not a fan of. When rolling a d10, such as to determine the first player or when making up a command check, the princeps can count any roll of a 9 as a 6 or a 6 as a 9. So,
do you have to declare beforehand?
It doesn't say so.
All right, well, that sounds real good to me.
I mean, again, it's not terrible. It's just,
Yeah, if you don't have to declare it, then congratulations. I have an extra 9.
Yeah, there you go.
And I don't have to look to see where the damn pip is on my die.
That may be the most.
It is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And number 3, Hollowed Out. The Princeps does not add 2 to its command checks for being the Princeps Senioris. However, they ignore all damage results from critical damage to the Titan's head. So they're a zombie. I mean, how often does your Princeps get hit in the head?
I mean, the answer is...
Depends if the other guy's got a chain fist or not.
Are you going to aim chain fist to the
even
head?
then,
Really?
only on accident.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No, I'd carve off the head.
But it tends
For
to be...
ultimate style points, because everyone knows in the land of the Collegia Titanica, there is no greater kill than taking your opponent's head with your close combat.
Okay, but in the heat of moment and
but
Nova, when you're
trying
5
to
drinks
win the game.
in, are you gonna
Look, when you're 5 drinks in, you're more likely to do it.
Yeah. Well, the head is most heavily armored, but it has the shortest damage track. And when you start piling on the crits, a lot of bad things happen.
It's true. Yeah.
The reduction to accuracy that comes from crits to the head is something that I think a lot of people overlook.
True. So, yes, I've been singled out as a melee heavy player, but my favorite approach to playing Interfactor is sort of combining melee and just close in combat rather than just specifically punching people in the face. Specifically, my all-time favorite maniple, if y'all are interested in talking maniples at the moment.
We're always here to talk about maniples.
Is the Ferox Light maniple. So basically, it's a combination of 1 Reaver and 2 Warhounds, or up to 2 Reavers and 3 Warhounds, and it has the Night Fighter's trait. When a Titan or Ferox Light maniple makes attacks against a target that is no further away than its scale in inches, so just get close. 8 inches for a Reaver, 6 inches for a Warhound. They add 1 to the armor rolls they cause. So your pins are getting better, your Mega Bolters are getting stronger, your Chain Fists, your Power Fists, all of that is just beefier. Titans in a Ferox Light maniple may also choose whether or not to use their weapon skill or ballistic skill within 2 inches of an enemy. Now, this one, even more so than the boost to the armor rolls, is to me a game changer in that you can run your Warhounds right up in someone's business and use your ballistic skill instead of your weapon skill. So,
which is usually still better.
Yeah, get those get that Warhound right underneath a Warlord's shields and hit him with your plasma. And if you get him behind, hey, that you're adding one, because of the maniple trait, and then two, because of outflanking somebody, and your flamestorm cannon, or
3 for a squadron.
yeah, your Inferno gun is now strength 10, 3 auto hits. That's good times.
It is indeed.
But to me, it really is a game changer in that it's given your specifically for melee, it's given your guys a boost to your chain fists are now the strength of power fists. Your power fists are now hitting on 2s rather than hitting on 3s. I mean, it just gives everybody that little extra bit of oomph.
I'm glad you brought that up, the Ferox Maniple, because I have something to say about it when you're finished.
Proceed.
Well, so the 3 legions that we've talked about here are all traitor legions. But even though traitor legions kind of generally lean towards what you might consider more brutal combat rules.
Well, and the traitor
traitor trait, yes, as well, allows them once per game to add +2 to their boosted movement and +1 to any to the dice value of any melee attack. So you effectively get an extra die on the charge, and you actually charge a little bit further. But the Loyalists, specifically Legio Graphonicus, has their fair share of melee madness, although you do kind of have to get a little creative with it. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to tell you about it here. Graphonicus is found in the main rulebook. They are... or in just Traitor Legios. They are on page 89 of the basic rulebook, or they're in the Loyalist Legios book. But what you're going to do is you're going to make use of 2 of their traits. One is Lust for Glory, which is when, after both sides have deployed, a player commanding a Legio Graphonicus battle group can declare that any of their Titans will claim an enemy Titan as a target. Declare out loud which Titan is making the claim and their intended target, and write both down. If the Titan attacks its intended target, the controlling player can reroll hit rolls of 1 and add 1 to the result of any armor roll. However, if another Titan attacks the intended target, then the claim is forfeit, and this rule no longer applies. So right now, we're leaning towards damage output and accuracy. Their second Legio trait is Mainstay of the Titan Legion, and I'm reading the verbatim from their original publication, but they have since been updated to be able to replace any Warlord or Warhound Titan with a Reaver. So assembling a Legio Graphonicus Maniple, players can select up to 1 Reaver Titan in place of a Warlord Titan or Warhound Titan. Again, now you can replace any of your Titans with a Reaver Titan. And here's what you do. You take that Ferox Maniple that Jared was talking about, which gives you the +1, right, when you're within your scale. Yeah. You replace all of the Warhounds with Reavers. So now you have a 5 Reaver Maniple, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, is it any or any mandatory?
Any. Yeah.
Okay.
It's real good. Replace all of them with Reavers. You give them the Graphonicus specific war gear, motive subreactors. Although Reaver Titans are not designed to act as scouts, Legio Graphonicus has them in such great number that it is sometimes necessary for them to be adapted to the role. The most effective method involves installation of... I'm reading the wrong part. A Legio Graphonicus Reaver, which is...
You don't care about the fluff right now?
Yeah, we're on it. It's a thick episode, but we got time. A Legio Graphonicus Reaver, which is chosen as part of a Maniple in place of a Warhound, may be fitted with motive subreactors for 25 points. This allows the Reaver to use its boosted speed and turn characteristics without pushing its reactor. However, each time the Titan suffers a critical hit to its legs, roll a d6. On a result of 3 or less, its reactor level is increased by 1. But as I've said, speed is of the essence when you play a melee Legio. And now, as you run across the field with 5 Reavers, all of them moving 9 inches and turning 3 times for free, which leaves your reactor space free to keep pushing your shields to keep you alive while you get there. All right. Now you give them all power fists. Every one of them declares an enemy Titan that they're going to go fist fight like Muhammad Ali. Once that's done, now you're getting +1 to all of your armor rolls within 8 inches, and you're in melee range, so you're already getting that thing, that bonus. Because you're still using a Ferox Maniple, you're getting another +1. So now you have +2 in the front. Not even counting side or rear if you somehow manage to make it there. And here's what's crucial. You're re-rolling 1s for armor and for hit against your chosen rival. It's like a whole maniple of Muhammad Ali just running up on Joe Frazier and just beating the ever-loving dog shit out of him.
That was a deep pull there, Stephen. That was pretty good.
Got it. Yeah, read some Google about it. Now, here's where it gets more fun, right? One of their personal traits is called Reckless Maverick. So once per battle, the Princeps Senioris Titan can be activated a second time in the movement phase or combat phase. After doing so, advance the Titan's reactor level 3 times. So your Princeps Senioris, your king of Muhammad Ali clones, if you will, can now charge in the movement phase and punch. Can then punch again in the combat phase. Can then Reckless Maverick for a third and, yea, shall I say it, fatal punching in the combat phase, and then increase its reactor and hopefully not die. But there is absolutely no way any Titan, from a Warhound to a War Master, is going to stand up to a triple punching from a souped-up Reaver.
That's quite a bit.
It's quite the fisting.
I would not want to be on the opposite end of that. No.
See, that's just straight fisto.
Yeah, you will try as hard as you can, and this time you will fist them all.
Fisto with Muhammad Ali clones.
Yeah. Just whatever weird analogies you want to use. I prefer boxing just because, well,
We're here for it.
here we are. Master Duelist as well. Failed hits to the Princeps Senioris Titan, or rather 4, can be rerolled when it's making attacks against a target within 8 inches. You're probably rerolling your 1s anyway, which is the only thing you're going to miss on with a Power Fist in melee. So that's really not one that you're going to want to take.
It's a bit redundant.
Yeah. And Hunter Without Equal is largely in the same boat of just being redundant if you're fighting somebody that you've already claimed as your target. So Reckless Maverick is the way to go. Punch them all. And I think we're going to take a brief break before we get into how to build a Titan Legio if you're using Crusading Legions.
We'll be right back after this. Long press to pause, short press to go back. Okay, got it.
But we are recording, which is the important thing.
Yeah, and more important, the previous hour is recorded as well.
That is definitely more important. And we're back. Yay! Talking about more Melee Legio. This time we're talking about how to build your own Melee Legio. There's a great bevy of rules to be found in the Crusading Titan rules, which are in Defensive Ryza on page 93. Austin,
there are a ton.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's
of them.
a ton that specifically work for melee Titans.
Yeah, Austin sat there and machined out one while we were getting set up today, so we're gonna let him take it away for a while.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think, well, at least you did one as well. So we'll see if we're coming down the same pipe at this. So the first one I have for the Legio trait is
quick note: Crusading Legios, you have a choice of traits, war gear, stratagems. You can pick 4, no more of 2 of any one.
yes, four total, no more than 2 of any one type, which is where things get interesting. So the first one I would get is traits, engines of war. Which choose a class of Titan for the following list. For me, it's going to be the Reaver Titan, and the Titan Legion may always substitute one of the mandatory Titans in a mana pool with a Titan of this type. So it's just to get that other Reaver in there. It expands your options a little bit more. And I've got a plan for it because I also have a maniple. I have a couple of maniples that will work really well with this, I think.
Right. It bears noting with Engines of War as well that maniple benefits that specifically call out a class of Titan do not carry over to the replacing Titan, only general benefits.
Yes. So if you replace it with whatever, and it's like, oh, every Warhound in this Legio, in this maniple gets a bonus, the Reaver doesn't get it. But if it's all Titans, or even all Reavers in this maniple, it would get it.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. My second trait that I'm going to take is Noble Lineage.
Interesting.
Right?
Oh, I know where this is going.
So-
How about it?
So for this, During deployment, before any units have been deployed, Reaver Battle Titans from this Legio can be paired. So you choose 2 Reavers, and they become a squadron, just like you can do with Hounds. And then they do not have to be part of the same maniple, and a battle group can contain 1 or more pairs of Reavers. At the beginning of each round, paired Reaver Titans may be formed into a squadron with each other. These squadrons last till the end of the round. However, paired Reaver Titans in a squadron may not merge Void Shields. So it's a little different than a Warhound squadron because you can unsquadron them and squadron them up again, but they don't share shields. And I'll talk about my whole thought process for the whole thing once I get all 4 of them out of the way. The next one I have is a Legio specific stratagem. 2 points. Enduring Gods. So you play it during any strategy phase. Any Titan from this Crusade Legio may immediately be issued emergency repairs without the need to make a command check. After the repair rolls have been resolved, make a command check for any Titan issued an order in this way. If the check is successful, discard the order. After the effects of the stratagem have resolved, the player may issue no more orders for the remainder of the round. So that's exciting.
Okay.
And then the last one is Jared's favorite, secondary shield generators. Any of the Legio's Titans can be upgraded with secondary shield generators for 25 points. Once a game, when a Titan with this upgrade has a void shield level of X, i.e. has no voids, and is chosen as a target for a weapon attack, it may engage the secondary shield generators. This must be done before any dice are rolled. And I think also this has been FAQ'd so that instead of every weapon attack you get the choice to do it or not, it's now when it becomes the target of a Titan.
Yep.
Because before, this is one that my Legio has. I would say, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to fire the missiles at me first? I don't care. I'm going to let those go through and then save it for the Bellicosa or whatever.
Now you have to.
Yeah. Now you have to think about it a little bit.
I hate you, Austin.
So before you explain your carry on.
Yeah, there's a little more to it. So once you do this, you immediately increase the Titan's Void Shield level by D3 and the reactor level by the same amount. So if you roll a 2 on your D3, you get 2 shields back, you get 2 heat, and you can't use this if you suffer the VSG burnout critical damage effect.
So before you explain your thought process here, I'm guessing that of the damage output, survivability, and speed triangle, you are leaning towards speed and survivability.
While I am egregiously willing to throw away the lives of my engines in ridiculous maneuvers, I know that about myself, so I do like my Titans survivable. Because that's one of the big downfalls of a punchy list is that you lose 2 or 3 Titans getting in, and then you can't
make up the lost ground.
Yeah, you're already on a back foot. But if you can make it in with 4 or 5, suddenly everyone has a bad time. Because what will happen is if 2 or 3 of your punchy Titans, say you have 5 punchy, you got the 5 Corsair, right? Classic. You go in, and 2 or 3 of them get punched to death or get shot to death on the way in. You punch 2 enemy Titans to death, but if the enemy is smart, his other 3 Titans have spread out.
They've circled around, and there's no way you're going to catch all of them.
Yeah, you can't catch all of them, and even if you do, it's another 15 inches to get to the next Titan, so that's another 2 turns of being shot at, and that's where it all tends to fall apart. But again, if you get there with everybody, does that not matter? So this is my thought process in general, is you've got more Reavers to get into more maniples. Noble lineage is another important one because what'll happen is, 1, it lets you issue charge orders 2 at a time.
Right.
And it lets you activate 2 Titans at a time. And in the first turn or 2, you're kind of playing that activation game and you want the last activation. But once you're in charge range, boy, you just want to get there.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want that Warhound backing up 4 inches and suddenly being out of charge range.
Yep.
So
I didn't think of that. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So this isn't so much, oh, it's cool. I don't care about the coordinated strike, right? I'm punching people to death.
Well, now, interesting that you should say that because I'm thinking about it. And coordinated strike, you could still use it to good effect. Because, sure, both of your Reavers probably aren't going to be on the same target.
Uh-huh.
But if you have one Reaver that's a little further back, maybe it's slowed down for whatever reason.
Or it finished off its target.
Throw some Apocalypse missiles at whatever it is the other guy wants to punch. Congratulations, coordinated strike.
Yep. There's silver linings, to be sure. And then Enduring Gods is, again, that wanting to live.
Yeah.
And wanting to still move and wanting to still attack.
Having them, smoking them.
Yeah. And then, of course, the secondary shield generators will just... This is actually not really so much a survival strategy, but a heat management strategy. Because what you do with the secondary shield generators is you no longer, for a lot of things, needing to push a reactor for shields. Because you know that when you lose shields, you'll just get them back again.
Right.
So it lets you stay cool while you're pushing for heat to go faster and faster and get there.
Oh, an excellent plan.
So that's the plan.
A word of caution
Going to use with it
to our listeners who are thinking about using those shields is, Austin was using these against me, and in our last turn of the last game, blew up 2 Titans.
Oh, no, you'll spike yourself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But also,
I don't think they were redlined either. I think they they were in the yellow, and
you'll also spike yourself with hounds.
Yeah.
Because that's
a
my
Reaver has a more robust track.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is that
I think you did.
I smoked myself with hounds.
I believe it was a Reaver and a Hound.
No, the Reaver went down because the Hound exploded in the worst possible way. Yes, because the Hound went nuclear and did 2 crits to the Reaver's body. Yeah.
Hate to see
and
it.
The Reaver blew.
So those are the traits I'm working with. And then for maniples, I've got 2 exciting choices for you.
Listen to that book thunk.
Right?
Down.
It's
so
a
heavy.
hefty book.
I'm not going to be able to cut that out. I mean, I could,
Why
but
would
I'm
we?
not going to spend
No,
5
why would
hours
we?
cutting
No.
that out.
No, it's
Let the listeners. That's what the patrons pay for, is to hear the
Yeah, you
solid
remember those
thump of a book.
sounds back when we do live recordings? It's back now.
Yeah. We're doing work.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Welcome to lasagna episode number 2.
The sound of knowledge.
They were weighty with authority.
So the first one I'm going to do, the Fortis Battle Maniple. So the mandatory components of this are 1 Warlord, which I'm subbing out for a Reaver, and 2 Reavers. So I'm going to have 3 Reavers, optional components, another Warlord, or another Reaver. And let's face it, there's no harm in having a Warlord in this Maniple,
Right.
Either for long-range fire support or for just classy extra punching.
Just one big claw.
So its special Maniple trait is Titanic Fortresses. And the first part of it doesn't really matter because it requires them to not move. And then they ignore armor roll modifiers for structural damage. Put that from your mind, dear listener, if you're following along, because you're a punchy Legio, you're moving. The important part here is that Titans in a Fortis Battle Maniple may merge their Void Shields. So the answer is stick everybody together and run at the enemy.
Yep. And then break off when it's time to start punching stuff.
Break off when it's time to start punching stuff. But also remember, what'll happen when you're sharing voids, generally speaking, is that all the saves get dumped onto one engine, right? They get dumped onto one engine, and then its voids go down. And then it tends to be the target of attacks. Because obviously its shields are down. But you have secondary shield generators, which means those shields will spark back up. And it just gives you that extra survivability as you're also saving all of these shield saves. So that's an exciting option. And then the other one, which I like more, this would be the one I'd actually try and run a lot, is the Dominus Battle Force Maniple. Mandatory component, a Warlord, again, being subbed out for a Reaver and 2 more Reavers, and a Questoris or Cerastus Knight Banner. The Maniple traits here are Auspex Bafflers. So if a Knight Banner from a Dominus Battle Force is wholly within 6 inches of a Titan from the same Maniple, and both the Titan and at least 1 Knight are visible to the attacker, the attacks made against Titans from more than 2 inches away suffer a -1 to hit. And then Noble Sacrifice, if the Titan within the Dominus Battle Force Maniple takes a hit from an attack originating more than 2 inches away, it may transfer the hit to any Knight within 6 as long as the model is visible to the attacker. That's done before armor rolls are made. You pick a guy, he might blow up, he might not. But it's not your Reavers getting punched in the face.
That's the important part.
Yeah. And this just goes back to that survivability, right? You get you have all of your Reavers, you've got a couple of Night Banners there to soak firepower, and you're just running at the enemy as quickly as possible. And it seems real good. Not gonna lie. Especially if those Cerastus are Lancers.
Yeah. And typically when it comes to building melee Legios is that punchy Reavers come relatively cheap. Mm-hmm. You'll always have points left over for Knights. So, yeah, the Dominus is an excellent way to keep those Knights, which are, let's face it, gonna die anyway. So they may as well do something useful on their way out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any particular stratagems other than your Legio-specific ones that you would take?
Well, see, the thing of it is, when you take a Legio-specific stratagem, especially one that's 2 points, it is half of your pool for the most part. So there's a couple of good ones you can throw in there, but I don't think there's any specific ones. So I don't know if you want to talk about stratagems right this second, or if you want to do.
There's a couple.
If you want to do your Legio, your DIY Legio first.
Yeah, we'll do the Legio first, and then we'll go over some stratagems. But yeah, otherwise,
so yeah, that's my thoughts.
I like that it's out of the box. It's a little more less straightforward than you would think. When you took Noble Lineage, I was like, are you just trying to go for coordinated fire? But no, I really like your idea as far as map control, because worst thing is always when some Warhound's like, that dude's going to charge me, bye, and then runs away.
Yeah, and generally, because this is what happens to me, as somebody who doesn't play one of these Legios, the most terrible thing is when you've got two of your Titans in charge range and I go, okay, I can only save one. Mm-hmm. And Steven's going first, FML. But if Steven goes first with this Legio, guess what? Haha, they're a squadron. Everyone you love is dead.
Yep. Everyone's getting out of there. Yeah.
So what do you got?
So mine is a little more straightforward in terms of melee legions. It kind of leans towards survivability and damage output, not so much speed. So the first thing I'm taking is the trait Motive Mastery. And what that does is it gives me full stride and charge orders always on a 2-up, regardless of everything, regardless of what other Titan is near me, causing problems to my leadership. It's the order will always succeed on a 2-up. And like we said earlier, with Laniskara's trait is nothing sucks more than needing to charge and failing it. So that's always fun. The second one is a piece of war gear, and it is armored. No, not armored. Where is it? Armor spikes. There it is. Yeah. So any of the Legion's Titans can be upgraded to have armor spikes for 20 points. A Titan with armor spikes increases the number of dice it generates when making a smash attack from D3 to D6.
Significant.
Yeah. Yeah. Almost doubles your damage output. And I'll talk about why I wanted to upgrade the smash attacks when we go a little bit over order of operations when it comes to actually fighting with a melee Titan. The other piece of war gear I'm going to take is called blind missiles. And Austin has talked about this one before. It featured heavily in his original first edition Crusading Legio.
The White Dwarf version.
The White Dwarf version. Any of the Legion's Titans armed with Apocalypse missile launchers or paired Apocalypse missile launchers, well, that's a weird way to word it, can be upgraded to have blind missiles for 20 points. So now we're looking at 40 points of war gear per Titan. Each of the Titan's weapons must be upgraded separately. Once per game, a Titan armed with blind missiles may fire a blind salvo with its Apocalypse missile launchers rather than firing normally. Place the 5-inch blast marker anywhere within range and firing arc of the missile launchers, which is pretty much everywhere, and they do not need line of sight. This marker remains in place until the end of the round and blocks line of sight through it. Tasty.
Yep. So the whole thing counts as line of sight blocking, and that can be real disrespectful.
Yep, that's a big old pie plate. Just, nope. And then the fourth thing is Bloodlust, which is back here somewhere. Nope, those are stratagems.
Bloodlust or blood fueled?
Blood fueled. Yeah, blood fueled. Titans from this Legio, armed with one or more weapons with the melee trait, increase their weapon skill by 1 to a maximum of 2 up, and decrease their ballistic skill by 1 to a maximum of, or to a minimum of 6 up. In addition, once per round, each Titan from this Legio can add 1 to the dice value of a smash attack or an attack with the weapon with the melee trait. I always forget that. When made as part of a charge order, in addition to any dice added as part of the order. So I'm looking at a +1 for charging, another +1 for charging with my traitor allegiance trait. And then again, it's just another recreation of Legio Vulpa's Blood and Honor, where once you're within that melee range, your guns are suddenly way more accurate. I'm pretty much going to be doing no shooting on my way to your face. But once I'm there, I'm going to hit what I want. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward as far as a melee Legio goes, whereas Austin's kind of out of the box over there. I'm leaning on the tenets of punching people in the soft parts.
Or in the hard parts, because it doesn't really matter.
Or the hard parts, yeah. When your Titan's fist is the size of a Land Raider, it doesn't matter if the part is soft or hard.
It will become soft. and through that softness, victory.
Yes.
Malleable.
The maniple that I'm going to use.
God, we didn't overlap at all, did we?
Nope. You went entirely like, haha, sneaky and weird. And I'm just like, nope. Don't fix it if it ain't broken.
Well,
what to do here?
Yeah, I guess the only thing to do will be to play it out.
yeah.
Guess you got to build some melee legions.
I did get a third Reaver recently.
There you go. So I'm going to use the Coca-Cola classic of melee maniples. It's the Corsair maniple. It's 5 Reavers, 3 mandatory, 2 optional, but 5 Reavers in function. And its trait is Fighting Retreat. So anytime that they're moving outside of their front arc, the Reaver does not half its movement. It doesn't do the 1 inch for every 2 inches thing. They continue to move at full speed. The only downside being is that if they're moving to the side or backwards, they cannot push their reactor. But that's okay. We're only ever going forwards.
And also, any of you out there that are like, man, this is kind of interesting, but I play Legio Solaria, so like, fuck these DIY Legios and all this other nonsense. Use a Corsair maniple. Warhounds and Corsair are real good.
Yes. You're also morally obligated to yell the word Corsair when you're moving outside of your front arc. We're not going to do it because we're all mic'd, but just know that that's what you have to do.
Corsair!
Yeah.
It's not at all annoying to your...
Psychological warfare.
Yep, it's all part of it. I mean, Legio Defensor has those big, huge war horns, so, it's the same.
Yeah, it's like that friggin' Legio that's just big DACA all the time.
Yeah. Destructors. Yeah. Steel beasts. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a pretty simple and straightforward tactic. Emphasis on straightforward.
Which is great if you're 5 drinks in at Nova.
Yeah.
Everything is great if you're 5
emphasis on straightforward because you're going to run straight forward, and you're going to punch everything that's in your way. So Motive Mastery keeps you reliably moving quickly. Blind Missiles, that's pretty much your only real survival tool. You don't want to have to take a whole lot of cover when you're running the Corsair melee, because that's just more speed and moves you have to use to get out from cover to get to what you're going to fight. The Blood Fueled, again, makes you more accurate once you're there. Fire all your guns, let them ride. I like the Gatling Blaster. And then follow up with free cog shots on the fist to whatever it is that you're trying to break. And now, armor spikes. There is a certain, for context, there's a debate between whether or not you want to use a chain fist or a power fist. The power fist hits harder, has concussive, but 1 less attack. The chain fist has 1 less point of strength, more attacks, and rending. And the basic concept comes down to the power fist having concussive will spin your target around, which can either hurt you or at worst push them out of range, which is why a lot of people go for the chain fist. I like the power fist. I think it's great for dunking on smaller scaled engines, stuff where the extra hits from a chain fist and the extra damage from rending might be kind of overkill. But also, a lot of my Reavers have their power fists glued into the sockets. So
Just committed.
yep, here we are.
Committed to the bit.
But armor spikes has a very specific use. And that's, like I said before with Lanascara, the temptation when you charge is to immediately start swinging with fists. But I put it to you that there's a delicate order of operations to be observed. What you want to do when you charge is not actually swing with the fist. It's hit them at your scale +1, so on a Reaver strength 9, the same strength as a fist, d6 times with armor spikes, instead of twice plus your distance with a fist. And since you're using Blood Fueled, it's actually d6 +1.
Yeah.
And if you're using Blood Fueled with Enduring Hatred, the Traitor Allegiance trait, it's d6 +2. That's 8 strength 9 hits to the wherever for free.
Yeah. Why, Steven, I think you could roll 4 1s and still kill a guy with that.
It's entirely possible because I'd have 4 more dice to roll 6s on.
Why you got to twist?
Why you gotta be bad?
Oof. Play a real Legion.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yep.
Mister.
Yep, that's what this is all
Mister.
coming down to.
All right,
Nope,
my
we gotta
legio out
we
of
gotta
my
stay on that
ass.
Adeptus Titanicus. I'm sorry.
fellas,
I
we
swear
can't
to
fight in
God.
here.
This is the war room.
This is the war room.
So once you're there, once you've charged and you've done d6 plus however many smash attacks, God, that's so many dice if you had a 9-inch charge. That's d6 +5.
It's a ways. Yeah, no, that'll make a warlord
They'll make you
fall over. Yeah.
Now that you've done the charge, it's time for the combat phase. Let your guns speak. Let them ride wherever it is they're going to go. Although at this distance, 2 inches, called shots are only at a -1 penalty. And some weapons, like the Gatling Blaster, have a +1, which cancels that out, at short range. So you can charge, do all the hits, called shot your Gatling Blaster to wherever it is that you smashed, do that damage, smash again for another d6, and then, if they're still not dead, follow up with a fist. Hit them again, called shot, same place, and now concussive comes into play. Either you knock them away, d3 inches, possibly out of shield range, so that anything that they're retaliating with goes on your shields, or you'll spin them around, you can shoulder check them, and do more damage with the collision, which again is strength 8 because you're a Reaver.
But let's be fair, they're dead at that point.
They're dead. Yep.
You're just molesting a corpse, and that's a misdemeanor in this state.
Yep. Well, not in the 41st millennium, or the 31st millennium, I suppose.
Hopefully.
You can do a lot of weird things with corpses. Just ask Kurz. Or Fulgrim. Oh.
More so Fulgrim, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Or Vulcan for the first person perspective.
There is stratagems are also going to be your friend when it comes to the melee legion.
And if I actually have an esoteric one
Yeah.
for melee legion.
Yeah.
It's pricey because again, we're kind of having all of these theoreticals based around kind of the standard 1500 to 1750 that we like to play. So it's 4 stratagems a person. Is what it tends to come down to. And this would be 3 of them. Dawn attack.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, go for it.
Play this stratagem in the first strategy phase of the game. For the first 2 rounds of the game, darkness close to the battlefield, Titans must roll d6 +1 times 5 to determine how many inches they can see. Only enemies within this range can be targeted. Titans that shot early in the round can be targeted, regardless of the distance rolled. However, you're a punchy Legio. Your first 2 turns is probably going to be spent issuing full stride orders and just running at the enemy.
Yep. They can't see you for some reason.
Pulling the old ride at dawn, Rohan.
Yep.
At dawn, look to the east. However, we've been riding down this hill for 2 hours before dawn.
Suck it. Pow. Yeah. There's another one called Dusk Attack too, which I don't remember which book it's in, but it does something similar as far
Probably
as
does the opposite.
Does the opposite.
Yeah, it's what is it? Last 2 turns?
It's
I
like
think?
on turn 3 or 4, you can start playing it. And then the rest of the game is in darkness.
Yeah, but you don't want that.
No, that's definitely
because by
not
then
what you
you're
want.
in range.
Yeah, by then you're punching people to death, and
Yeah.
you want to punch people to death.
Now, I also have an esoteric one, but it's only esoteric in the sense that it is from the Warp Trickery Stratagems, to be found in Shadow and Iron on page 96. It's Warp Displacement. This stratagem can be purchased by any trader player. Play this stratagem in any phase. Any
points is it?
phase. It's 2. The player chooses one of their units and rolls 2d6, so potentially 2, potentially 12, somewhere in between. More likely 6. Models within the chosen unit may move that many inches in a straight line in any direction chosen by the player, ignoring any rules for movement such as blocking or dangerous terrain when moving. If the unit would be placed in a piece of terrain other than blocking terrain, the unit suffers D3, strength 7 hits to its body, bypassing void shields, and the terrain is destroyed. If the unit would be placed in a piece of blocking terrain, the unit is destroyed.
Oh, shit.
Oops.
Yeah, don't do that.
I was about to say, it was almost Kool-Aid Man until it wasn't.
If the unit would be placed overlapping the base of another unit, the unit stops at its base and suffers a collision. This does not change the unit's facing, and a unit cannot move off the battlefield. If it would, place the unit at the battlefield's edge. So this is a little risky, because if you try and take cover behind a building and then teleport to the other side of it, you might end up inside the building and also reduced to your component atoms.
Which only is a good thing if you're Captain Lysander.
Yeah.
Get that promotion.
Yeah.
What do you
He's
get
doing
that-
fine.
Yeah, but his boss
Yeah, but his boss is
teleported into a wall. and
That's the
how he
only
got
reason
that
why
hammer.
Lysander's chapter master is because some idiot teleported his buddy into a wall.
To the best of us.
Actually, Lysander's
Well, it happens to-
captain, and Vladimir Pugh is the chapter master who lost his taste buds because he's bad at his job.
Truth be told, I haven't read any of the 40K fits.
I don't think there are that many fist books, are there? There's like
like
Sons
2.
of Dorn.
There's a
and-
couple, yeah.
Seventh Retribution, something that's like a sequel to that.
But I thought Lysander Master made chapter master. Or Lysander made chapter
No,
master.
it's-
I think
Vladimir
he's
Pugh.
he's a
Is it?
Yeah. Which is wild that they just took his taste buds.
And that anybody cares enough to be having this discussion.
Like whole planets have been exterminated for less. Vladimir Pugh loses a company of space marines, and the High Lords are like, yeah, just take his taste buds so he can't have pudding anymore. But Gilliman's just eating pudding in front of him going, vanilla.
It's
Vanilla's got too much flavor for Guilliman, let's be honest.
Plain.
Anyway,
Tapioca, maybe.
how is that a punishment for a space marine?
right? Like, they don't even eat.
They don't give a fuck.
Neutral.
They
Look,
wake
man.
up, bolter drill, go to sleep, pray a little bit, bolter drill.
Do they pray
Nutri-
before they sleep?
I
or-
don't know.
Before and after.
Yeah.
If you've got, I don't know if it's in the any of the newer codexes, but the old 4th edition one had their like daily schedule.
Yeah.
And they got 2 hours of sleep a night because damn it, that's all you need. You're a superhuman. Figure it out.
Yeah, do it. But warp displacement, yeah, again, a little risky if you accidentally teleport yourself into a building and suddenly your subordinate takes your hammer and your rank. But I've used it a couple times over open ground just to cover an extra 5 or 6 inches and then get a charge off and murder whoever was on the receiving end of it. It was great. I have yet to collide with another enemy, and I have yet to die inside of a building, which is more than could be said for any Imperial Fist.
You've cursed yourself now.
Yeah. The next time I do it, it's just going to be straight into a wall, dead Titan.
Welcome to Slaves to Darkness. Just die in a wall.
Die in a wall.
Yeah, gonna your best Captain Jostin impersonation.
You cask of Amontillado yourself.
We're doing real good with the deep references.
That's right. That's right.
It's fucking impressive.
The other stratagem that I like to use, it's another trader-only one, but I believe this one is called Warlust, and again, there are so many goddamn books, I don't know which one it's in, but it adds +3 to your boosted movement for a turn, and to your charge distance. So you're just banging out, as a Reaver, a 12-inch charge, and then punching whoever's on the end of it.
I'm going to completely derail this conversation for a moment because in efforts to make better Lysander jokes, I got on his wiki.
Oh, Lord.
So
We're a 30K podcast, guys.
Captain Lysander, hero of the Imperial Fist, the only guy worth a damn in that entire chapter, was, and I quote, easily captured by the Iron Warriors.
That was a good laugh, Stephen.
This is
We will not be taking questions at this point.
That's so good.
Moving along. Back to the topic at hand. We don't have time to talk about it, Jared.
I'm just going to read Saturnine to you guys over the phone after I get home.
It's adorable. Shall I spoil Mortis for you?
I've already read it.
Continue.
But yeah, Warlust. Go fast, punch the dudes in the way.
Fucking Lysander.
Really, any
Get it together, man.
any mobilization stratagem is good for a melee Legio. Generally, when you play a melee Legio, there's a lot of the three things, right? Speed, damage output, survivability. Almost everybody has damage output as one of their concentrations. So you don't really need to spend a lot of stratagem points on stratagems that allow you to kill things harder, because chances are it's going to be a little overkill, and you don't get stratagem points back. It's one use.
Most of the
this
time
isn't
you
40K.
won't roll for.
Yeah, a lot of times you won't roll for once.
Except now you've said it, and if that's in the back of
I've
somebody's, if that's in the
cursed
back of
myself for
somebody's
all
brain,
eternity.
yeah,
Yeah, we've all played this long enough to know that, emotions make things real.
statistics are made up.
Yep, it doesn't matter.
One that bears notice that you used earlier and I used last game was simple 1-point stratagem, experimental locomotors. You boost your movement for free, and
And then at the end of each turn, you roll a d10, and on a 1, you've broken your own leg, and that's not great. But
but how often is that going to happen?
well, now that you've said that, about
Every
50% of the time,
Right?
Yeah. 1 out of 6 times it happens every time.
Well, 1 out of 10. It's a D10. But that
Even worse.
That math says every other game it should happen, roughly.
now, that being said, if you are...
I won't tell you how many times it's happened to me because I'm not cursed.
I've never seen it happen. Yeah, it's 0. So now it's going to happen next time.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. I'll be the one you're playing. I'll just Alea Faramvolvin will put that leg down and her knee will blow out like a 90-year-old 90-year-old retiree, and down she'll go. Some cautionary tales of playing melee Legios. Be careful punching things in front of you. They will spin, they will collide with you, you will suffer a void shield burnout, your teammate will kill it.
Yes. Yes, alas, yes.
If you've got your buddy's warlord totally cornered by 4 warhounds, maybe don't charge all 4 warhounds into his business and blow him up, because then maybe he'll take.
If you're lucky,
maybe
it'll just
Jesse,
be the 2.
maybe that
Maybe.
that
Well,
one time.
But there's
We
one
can
thing-
only imagine that's theoretically possible.
there's
It was
a couple
still a
of
fun time.
Oh, it was a great time.
there's a lot of danger when it comes to playing a melee Legio, because you don't want to be close to a god engine when it dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But
they have nuclear meltdowns like routinely.
yeah, it's like Chernobyl on legs.
Went from having 5 Titans on the board to having 2 Titans on the board.
But
Very
it's
quickly.
important to note that you didn't get into the Titan punching business because you are a cautious soul. You don't get to be a champion of Khorne by being a coward.
It's true.
And melee Titan Legios are for style points.
They're for heroes.
Remember that Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows, only that it flows.
And honestly, the Emperor only cares a little bit from whence it flows.
Yeah, as long as it's not flowing from
Him specifically.
him specifically. Yeah, everybody else is fine.
And on that note, I do like Great Crusade Titans as a 2-point strat for Loyalists. It's Loyalist only. For the you play at the start of the strategy phase for the duration of the round. The player adds +2 to command checks when issuing charge orders. In addition, when moving under charge orders, the player's Titan counts as moving 6 inches further than it actually moved for the purposes of working out additional attack dice.
Ooh-wee. Now that is useful on a warlord.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, it's useful for anything. Because I've seen, especially you, Steven, I've seen you not go on charge order or not go on like full stride because you're like, well, if I full stride now, I won't get
lose
my
out
maximum
distance
attacks
later. Yeah.
later. Because it's a tricky game you play because you want to be right at like 11 inches, right? You want to be just in range to get the maximum extra attacks. So with this, not only you get the +2 to your command check, but you also don't care as much in the preceding turns. You can just full stride, charge, bam,
there.
doing it. Yeah. Get it. And then I also like, and this is all Jared's fault that I've discovered this, scatterable mines.
Although it's only one use now.
It is one use.
It's real son of a bitch.
It's 2 points, one use, but this is the trap card, right? Because what happens is you play the strategy phase, you place a marker and scatter it D10. The area within 6 inches of this marker counts as dangerous terrain.
12 inches.
6 inches. I'm looking at it.
What? Really?
You cheating son of a bitch.
It was 12 on the original print. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep, it's been nerfed since then, and with good reason.
This is
Cut its balls off.
They did, but it's still real good because it's still a 12-inch bubble.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, I like it a little better that it's 6 inches because what the plan is,
You're less likely to get yourself.
yeah, you're less likely to get yourself. That's it. That's what.
Yeah, yeah.
But you drop this just behind enemy titans in the hope that it lands there, and then they can't get away. Because most of the time when you're playing at Punchy Legio, the enemy can buy themselves at least a turn backing up. Because like they'll go forward at first to get into weapons range, and then they'll kind of try and maintain that distance backing up later. But if you use scatterable mines, like, yeah, good, back up, bro. Take a strength 8 hit to the, or like D6 strength 8 hits to the leg.
It's bad times.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
It's a bad time.
Yep. And that's a 2-pointer. It's solid. I'm about it.
Another knight, or another melee caution tale. Don't be fooled by the fact that you have a Land Raider-sized chainsaw where your hand should be. You don't want to fight knights.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, I've got all these melee attacks. Suck it, Questoris. It's like punching water. You're going to go through, and it's going to flow around you. And
that
cut
first
your leg
molecule is going to be displeased, and the other 5 will just bayonet you to death.
Yep. Especially if it's Cerastus. Oh. But, however, a beer at Nova 2022, God willing, to the first man who charges and punches a Porphyrin.
Ooh. 2 beers. I'll buy you another one.
Yes. Take a photo. Tell me the story. Mini alcohol for you.
That's podcast at rr30k.com is the email.
Nice.
But I think anyone else got any other thoughts about punching things with things?
No, although I do have one other for the loyalists.
Yeah.
One other stratagem.
This is a traitor show.
We gotta have some love. And that love is only forwards. 2 points. You play it at the start of the strategy phase. Any unit may be issued full stride or charge without the need to make a command check.
That's a good one.
Which, like, depending on the Legio you're playing or the mana pool, like, that might happen automatically. But you often are playing that Legio or that mana pool. And for 2 points, it's solid, especially because it's full stride or charge. Because a lot of these things that are like, oh, you can issue charge for free this turn. Well, great, but I only have 2 Titans in range, and the other 3 need to get the hell where they need to be.
Yeah, so they got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, a parting note. If you want Concealment Barrage, you want to pretend like you got blind missiles, but you're not playing a Crusading Legio, you can buy the Concealment Barrage stratagem. I believe it's 1 point. It's a one use of the pie plate of No Shoot Me.
Can you purchase multiples?
No, I don't think you can.
Yeah, I don't
think it's
recall
just one
offhand.
use.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But that does remind me that in the new Titan upgrades, that Bastion shielding to push your shields for free once.
Probably handy.
10 point upgrade. Yep. And if you don't have 50 points to spare in your list, I don't.
Another good universal.
Bless you for being able to do that.
Another good universal upgrade out of the Loyalist Legio book is hardened casing. Make your fist a little bit harder to knock off.
Yep, I like that. And if you're being, and I'm not going to actually condone this, listeners. I'm not going to do it. But if you want to be as hardcore as possible, and let's face it, you have a bit of an argument. You're running 3, 4, 5 punchy Reavers.
You got a chip on your shoulder. You got something to prove.
The answer, again, loyalist only, is Vortex Payload.
Oh, God.
Loyalist specific war gear.
Oh, God.
Each warp missile can be upgraded for 20 points. And then the warp missile loses the warp trait and gains the vortex trait. You could only have one Like you can't have this Reaver fire it multiple times. It's a one-shot weapon.
But you do have 5 Reavers with
you
5
have
one-shot
5
weapons.
Reavers with 5 one-shots.
Prepare to lose a friend.
Yeah, don't.
If
don't,
any of
if,
you
if you do this, and I'm not
bastards
condoning it,
use this against me.
but if you do it, don't fire 2 at the same Titan. That's just dick.
It's rude.
But also maybe do because 1 should be enough.
That will be your last time invited to my house.
And it's a shame if that does happen to you, friends, because Jared makes a hell of a mixed drink.
I do, and
Yeah.
you won't get any.
You get no more cocktails.
Yeah, it's actually.
He'll rip that Moscow Mule right out of your hand.
Yeah, we're actually introducing a new patron tier above Praetor. It's the Primarch tier where you get to come to Jared's house and he'll make you a drink while you play Titanicus.
I didn't vet that.
Surprise!
Coming soon.
I get to vet that, damn it.
No.
You get to pet his dog, and he'll
pet his dog, laugh at his kid, and
Yeah.
drink his drinks.
My kid will show you his truck collection. And
You'll go
Right.
make a monster truck rally course, and in between times, play some Titanicus while Jared
Primarch
makes you drink.
tier patrons only. Only.
wait, so does that mean that some of the Patreon money goes to my drinking?
Nope.
Because
No,
That's all out.
Yes,
of
yes,
no, wait,
yes,
no.
yes.
That
That's
goes.
all I'm hearing out
That
of
goes to the podcast, you monster.
Yeah.
No.
That's for
This is
operational.
This is for the
fun.
community. This is for the culture.
You,
Come on.
you friggin' embezzler.
Yeah.
You just want to buy. You just want to buy some Pappy Van Winkle.
Somebody
with
call
You're
podcast funds.
absolutely right. I want to buy some Pappy Van Winkle. I entered the lottery and everything.
My
My wife went in the lottery.
do we
Yeah.
have
For those across the tell us about Pappy Van Winkle. I don't know if they have anything like that.
They do not.
I'm sure.
I don't think anything in Australia has the word pappy attached
Well,
to
no,
it.
I'm talking about sort of like a lottery for a specific.
It is the holy grail of bourbons. It is a weeded bourbon that they, maybe 80, 100 bottles get released a year.
Made with tears of virgin.
Yes. This is
so Imperial Fist players.
the barrels are made of bald eagle feathers and. I'm sorry, Stephen. Were you talking? I wasn't listening to anything you had to say.
Easily captured.
I don't know why I hang out with these people. I'm really sorry to everybody who's listening.
It's because you have a humiliation fetish, and we can do it on the internet.
To be fair, that is standard for Imperial Fists.
My God.
Happy Rogel Day, everybody.
Anyway, Pappy Van Winkle's good stuff. It's expensive.
It's real tasty.
If you ever get the chance to buy it, you should buy it immediately, just for the once in a lifetime experience.
Because you'll probably never be able to afford another bottle.
You'll never be able to find
Or
it.
if one of our patron users, comes across them and wants to hang out at my house,
that will be Primarch tier. We will let you
Yeah,
Primarch
yeah.
tier. Provide us with a bottle.
Yeah, you can't actually buy Primarch tier. You have to provide something to the podcast that is singularly unique.
I didn't condone any of this, by the way. So,
You're being outvoted. It's a democracy.
oh boy.
Well,
oligarchy, really.
All right. Don't get crazy, guys. We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out.
People sending us their grandparents' ashes. Let me hang out with Jared. Do we have any announcements?
I'm not that fun.
Plugs?
Announcements?
you're a damn delight.
Okay, yes.
Nova Open needs way more money than it currently has to keep going. Of their 200,000 goal, they have $9,870, which is a pittance compared to an operational cost. The point is that if you, like us, have many fond memories of the Nova Open, or if you've always wanted to go, and you planned on 2022 being your year,
Yes, if you invested in Bitcoin in 2011 or 2012,
Pull all your dog coins.
please sell 2 of those Bitcoins and help a brother out.
any other announcements?
Well, you should also go on YouTube and look up the band Kelman Cantagia. They're an atmospheric
spell that?
black metal band out of. I'm not telling you.
Well, then how are they supposed to look
Send
it
me
up?
a link.
Figure it out.
Send me a link and I'll post it.
I will do that. They're a
thank you.
wonderful atmospheric blac metal band that has no ties to white supremacists or Nazis. So
Well, that's
That's a fucking unicorn.
yeah.
you think I'm joking?
I really hope you're not.
A black metal band without ties to white supremacists. Boy, that's like an Imperial Fist who's not easily captured by the Iron Warriors.
I do have a plug. And this plug is going to go out to our Patreon people. One, thank you for all your great show ideas. We aren't doing it right this second because obviously we just talked about Punchy Titans.
Want to do it right.
Yes, but we are doing it right. And hopefully within the next couple of episodes, we're going to be acting on your suggestions. And then Patreoners or anybody really, if you have a DIY, especially a DIY Legio, for a Punchy Titan list that isn't what Steven or I put out there,
Leave it in the comments.
yeah, leave it in the comments, and we'll give it a thought.
We'll play it out.
Next time
we
we're at
proxy all the time.
Post it on
we
Facebook.
might play it and see how it goes. We might just look at it and say, hey, this does work really well. Or if you're unfortunate and gave us something that doesn't work really well, hell, we'll be like, you know what, this doesn't punch real well, but it does do this well because the DIY Legio rules are real good, and it's hard to make a bad Legio with it.
That's almost a challenge in and of itself. Make a bad DIY Legio.
What's the worst? Yes, if you can make the worst DIY Legio you can think of.
It's just 4 things that have absolutely
there we go.
nothing in common.
But even if they have nothing in common, then you've got a great all-comer Legio. It's
Truly, it's the game of kings.
Yeah.
I'm looking this up now.
Leave your comments and suggestions on Facebook. You could try Twitter. I'll try to interact on Twitter. But Facebook, Instagram, Facebook at RR30K Podcast, Twitter at RR30K Podcast, Instagram at RR30K. Like and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy this show. You can go over to Discord and also interact with our lovely community over there over at Discord, and the link will be in the description below.
Over at discord.com.
Yeah. Good luck.
Homestarrider.net. .com.
I am 3 drinks in. I apologize. But thank you all again to our patrons who are just stellar individuals, and we appreciate your contributions and support very much. And starting with our Legion Praetors, Alex Self, Chris Mack, Jacob Dillon, Gardner.Tree of Woe, Joe from Music City Heresy, Luke Rizzuto, Matthew Boyce, Mr. Baldwick, Nicholas Quenga, and Sar Luther. Our Legion Centurions, Aaron Maynard, Andrew N., Angry Boy, Dave Jones, Duncan, Jerry Austin, John Christensen, M. Tanzer, Queen Corswain, Scott LeMay, and the original Applesauce. And finally, our Legion Sergeants, Agrippina, Emily O'Hare, Garrett Lowe, Gore Crow, Mr. Sear, Nick Gillen, The Zoy, and What Do I Call Myself? Thank you all very much. We greatly appreciate your support.
One of you will be randomly upgraded to Primarch.
But for the, also, I will say for the Centurions and Praetors, stickers will be coming out shortly. I was in the middle of the move, so now that I got my printer and my stamps and all my stuff, I'll be sending out that fun little sticker swag out soon. Double check your addresses and update them, and I'll be sure to send out some stickers and swag along the way.
Man, that would be a wild thing for some random
Just a
person
tiny
to get.
melt-a-bomb.
Like, somebody moves.
Right. Didn't
Like,
update their address.
Alex moves, and then it's like some other fucking America.
I got excited. I got
Tiny melta. What the fuck is this?
I got a 3D printer, and I just wanted to print a bunch of melt-a-bombs, which is what I always wanted when I was, first starting this hobby. It's like, it's so hard to find a bunch of melt-a-bombs.
And kids, he hit the ground running.
He did print about 50 of them.
I got excited.
They're
And it
about
worked.
two-thirds scale, but they are beautiful. And now I have all of them. Yeah.
He's sitting on a pile of melt-a-bombs right now.
Just invest in Meltabomb.
You could
Melt a
print
coin.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
strength 10 AP1 Armor Bane coin.
Coming to a failed economy near you.
Yahoo Finance is like, what the fuck?
Melt a coin.
I can't do this anymore.
Creator of Melt a coin
That's the
becomes
sound of
billionaire overnight.
another PhD in economics just jumping out the window.
You heard it here first, folks.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night, and keep those dice rolling. Bye.
Yeah.